Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian and I read a lot of books, but in this video I'm going to talk about my TBR game and all the prompts in my TBR game, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So in front of me I have my TBR chart, but I can't really hold it up all the time, and I haven't really found a way to put it up on the screen as I'm talking. So next to me I have all the prompts, and I also have all my runes. So you don't need runes to play this game. You eventually, if I decide to share this with anyone who wants to join, I will make this and the prompt list into some type of files to share on maybe Google Doc or something like that. Google, whatever it is, you can Google Drive, I don't know. So I'm trying to think of how to do this, but I think I will pick this one up whenever. So I'm gonna start by just describing it a little bit, and then I will pick it up when it's necessary, when I talk about places on the board that have like an incident. That's what I call it, but like if it has something extra. So we start up here. I'm gonna try and maybe do some kind of like starting point up here eventually, and then we will walk through like this. So these are the runes of the Uthark, right? There are 24 runes plus the empty one in the Uthark, and on my list of prompts I've both named them, but also like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number them. That's the word, number them. So it's 1 through 24, and then the last one, your home, the game has ended and you start again. So I will lift this up when I talk about maybe Thurs or Thurisaz that has these kind of butterflies to it. And then when this come in, and this, and these over here, and otherwise I'm just gonna pick up my runes. So my runes are, the same as those. I literally chose the runes, each rune, and then, wrote it down. So I used it as a template. All the runes are on my templates. So we're gonna start with Ur or Uruz. Okay, so the first place on the board is, or space on the board is Ur or Uruz, which looks like this. I'm gonna hold it up. And it's a free pick, so if you get a 1, because I've seen other boards where I don't want a 1, I always get a 1, and it's a weird kind of space on a lot of boards. And I was like, no, I'm gonna make it a free pick. I'm gonna make it a free pick. So in this video, I'm only gonna talk about the prompts and not the meaning of the runes. I'm only gonna talk about the meaning of the runes as they correlate to the pick. So I think free pick is a good choice for this rune. I could have picked so many things, but this rune is the beginner. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the world, the beginning of your journey. You're gathering supplies, you're gathering resources and energy. And what a better way to gather energy for your journey ahead, but to have a free pick and read whatever you want, and so you feel like you have a little bit of control over the situation, right? So the next one is Thurs or Thurisaz, and it's pick a brick. So any book with more than 500 pages, that's a brick to me. I was gonna pick 700, but it's so rare that I read books or have books on my shelf that are that many pages, because I mainly read library books, so I don't have like a big home library with a lot of bricks. So this is the rune for when the giants join the creation, and they just pick up, like the materia of the universe are symbolized by stones that they pick up and throw away. So they pick up literal like stones and bricks and throw it out into the universe. So pick a brick. And then the third one is Us or Ansuz. And it's a book with gods or goddesses, spirituality, or set in the heavens, in the clouds. So this one is the rune for like the highest place on the in the upper worlds, and it's your highest guides, and it's Asgård. So this is the rune for Asgård or Asgard. So this is the rune for gods and goddesses, so I thought it was a lovely pick. But if you don't read like fantasy, I wanted it to be open to spirituality and just set in the skies as well, so you can play around with that a little bit more. And then the fourth rune in the Uthark is Reid or Raidho. And I actually got this. I got the third one, Ansuz, for my first roll, and this was my second roll this month in April. So this is a drum journey. Read a book set in another world, and it can be like sci-fi and fantasy, etc., or whatever. Because this is the rune for journeying inside yourself and outside of yourself. So I picked this one because I do read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, and this was the perfect rune for it. And then how you interpret that is up to you. The fifth space on the board is Ken or Kenaz, and it's a passion pick. Pick a book that you've been looking forward to. And this is because this is the rune of fire. It's as simple as that. It's the rune of fire and everything that fire entails, and within that is passion. So there's a lot of other interpretations to the rune, but I picked passion and passion pick. So you can interpret that the way you want. Passion pick can also, of course, be a pick with passion in it. So it doesn't have to be a book that you look forward to. You can choose to interpret a prompt that you want to read, because maybe you want to read a book with passion and it's spice. Maybe it's spice in it, you know. The sixth space on the board is Gifu or Gebo. Season pick. Read a book set in the current season or with a cover that reflects the current season. Alternatively, a gifted book. I'm gonna keep this as the current season or a cover that reflects the current season. I'm gonna talk about why. So this is the rune of the medicine wheel and all of the directions, right? And all of the seasons connected to the directions. That's where the prompt is from. The prompt of gifted is because this is the rune for reciprocity, for giving and receiving. The seventh space on the board is Wynja or Wunjo, and I got this on my third roll, which was the last video you saw me rolling the die in. And this is a joy pick, and this is the rune of joy. Among other things, it's the rune of joy, so it just felt very fitting for the rune of joy to be a joy pick. And then the eighth space on the board, let's see so I don't have to show the board again. No, not right now. The eighth space on the board is Hagal or Hagalaz, a book with a teachable moment or a mystery, because it can be hard to know beforehand if it has a teachable moment. Or a mystery. Alternatively, a book in a series. Alternatively, Over the Rainbow, a book with death in it. So this is the rune of the rainbow. It's the rune of using the rainbow to go to the world of death, to the underworld in the Nordic shamanic practice. This is also the rune that symbolizes the heightening of energy and looking at life ahead as steps you need to take. So that's kind of where I picked like a book in a series from, that you need to take steps to finish. So a book with a mystery. I think I'm gonna just strike that teachable moment, because this is the rune of teachings and knowledge and being a teacher. So that's kind of where I picked it from, but I'm gonna scratch that, I think. So a mystery, a book in a series, or a book, or Over the Rainbow, a book with death in it. This is the 9th rune and the 9th space on the board. And it's Naud or Nautiz, past, present or future, or all of the above. And just to interpret that the way you want to. Alternatively, ask the runes, and that's kind of for if you are... It's if you have runes at home and if you don't know what to do with past, present, and future, you can just pick your bag of runes and then draw another one and take that prompt instead. Kind of like that. So this is because this is the rune of the Norns, which are the goddesses in the Nordic that weave the web of life and that cut the cords of the past, make you stay in the present, and weave the web of the future. So a book set in the past, the present, or the future, which is kind of a big prompt, or all of the above. So like a book with different timelines. So the next one is or Insuz. This is the 10th space on the board. Face your fears, a thriller or horror or a book you have been dreading. And this is a space on the board where you can get back to if you land on the 20th space on the board. So the rainbow takes you all the way back to or Insuz from up here. Okay, so this is the rune of the lower world in the Nordic practice that is that symbolizes your fears and phobias. So that's where it comes from. Face your fears, a thriller, horror, a book you have been dreading. And it can be like you've been dreading it because of the size of it, or any other, just been dreading. The 11th space on the board is Jara or Jera. And it's a romance, because this is the rune of love, among other things. It's the rune of love. So... a romance, and it can be a romantasy, or it can be any book with a romance, so it doesn't have to be specific. I wanted some of the prompts to be very open and some of them to be very narrow. So the 12th space on the board is the one I got last time, my most recent role. Perthro, Mountain Wisdom Keepers, a book with a quest. So this is the rune of, in Swedish we call it the cliff rune. So it's the rune of, if the second rune of the Uthar, Thurs or Thurisaz, are stones and bricks you can pick up and throw. These are like cliffs and mountains, anything that is firm beneath your feet when you stand on it. And it's also the rune for the wisdom keepers that live inside the mountains or are connected to mountains or the mountains themselves. And this was the most the one that was most fitting for a quest or something like that, because it's like with this rune you can see the entire landscape with the mountains up far ahead and everything you have to go to do in between. It just felt fitting. And then we're halfway through now, so the 13th rune of the Uthar and on the board, the 13th space on the board is Eo or Ehwaz, and this is one where I need to hold this up a bit. So let's see if I can do that. So we are there. This is where all the action is. Eo, read around the world, or a BIPOC pick, and this is the rune for the map of the cosmos and the map of the world. So that's what I was thinking. So the pick for this space is to read around the world or something like that, and just interpret that the way you want. It can be as the book set, it can be another space for a book set in another world, but my main idea of it was to have this because I want to read more books from around the world, like Africa and maybe Asia and South America and the islands all over. So I want to be more conscious about reading that stuff, and this was my kind of excuse to be able to do that. And then on this space, right, there's a lot happening. So let's see if I can pick it. So if I can hold it up and show you. You pick for this space, you pick a book to read around the world. And then when you roll again, so on the next roll, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you hop down to space number 10, so back to facing your fears, and the lower world of Niflheim, and face your fears. If you roll a 3 or a 4, it says you have grown as a reader. So we're here. You have grown as a reader. Hop onto space 15 and sunbathe and pick a prompt from the jar. So we end up here. So we follow. This is supposed to be a branch. Okay, these are supposed to be roots from the tree of life that this represents. This is supposed to be a branch because I couldn't put the trunk there. So you hop onto this rune, that is a sun pick. And if you roll a 5 or a 6 when you are back here, you have completed your growth change and may join Odin at space 18. So up here. And this is supposed to be like the greenery of the crown of the tree. So there is no way when you land on this to get to this one. So the only way to get here is to be on this one, or any of the other. Yeah. So yeah. And then we have the 14th space on the board that we couldn't get to from the 13th. It's Algiz, which is the same in Swedish and English. Power animal or spirit world, a paranormal novel or a book with a fable animal like dragon, griffin, centaur, etc. So this is the rune for all of your spirit animals, power animals, but it's also for wild animals and fable animals and protective spirits. And then we have the 15th rune, and this was the sun pick. And I have my jar here with my little spider in that I used to go around the board. I keep it in there. So this is the 15th space on the board, and it's a sun pick, and the sun is up here. So when I have the board down on a flat surface, I place the jar here. And in the jar we have prompts that are not on the board. So any prompt that I want to be able to bring into the game, I put in that jar. So it can be prompts that are the opposite of prompts on the board, like I had pick a brick, and I do have on the board, and in the jar I have a prompt that is pick a novella, so a book under 200 pages. So that's like an example of what can be found in the jar. And then we have the 16th space on the board out of 24, and that is Tyr or Tiwaz. Read a book by a male author, a non-binary author, or a transmasc author. So this is the rune of the masculine energy of the universe, among other things. That's the aspect of this rune that I picked, and I did it for a reason, because the next one, the 17th rune on the board, or space on the board, is Berkhana or Bjarka, and this is read a book by a female author, a non-binary author, or a transfemme author. So this is the rune for the feminine energy of the universe. See what I did there? And then I have the 18th rune, and remember this is where we got when we had done our growth. So this is up here. We have done our growing. So this is the rune of or Ehwaz. Odin's pick, TBR cards, a stack of cards from your current TBR or with titles you would like to prioritize. So those are here. I currently keep them as well in the jar, and I pick them out when I use the board. So this is Odin's pick. This is the Well of Mimer. this is the well of knowledge. So yeah, I had fun with this. So there's a little stack of cards with the books I want to read, or books that, for me, as a library rat, I have books on there that are from the library that I currently have at home, or books that I am about to pick up from the library because I have them on hold or a reserve or something like that. And it can also be books that I really want to fit into April that are from my own shelves. Because it's April now, but you know, I will change them when I use the board again next time, which won't be in May, it will probably be in June. So let's see, the 19th space on the board is uneventful. There is no event on the board for it. It's Mother or Manas, and this is the rune of Midgård or Midgard. Read a book by an LGBTQ plus author. This is the rune that is the sum of the previous 3. So it's the sum of the energies from the masculine, the feminine, and then the spirit that is within Odin's pick. So that rune can also be like the spirit rune. So this is the sum of all of those. So I thought it really fitting to pick an LGBTQ author for this one. Yeah. So any of the letters in the LGBTQ plus. Okay, so when you land on this, the 20th rune and the 20th space on the board, which is Lagu, you get a mood read. And when you have gotten that mood read, I'm sorry, but you're back to facing your fears. That's kind of how it is, right? Back to facing your fears. You go from the upper world of Vanaheim down to the lower world of Niflheim again. Whoopsie. Every board I think needs one of those like, oh no moments. I watched one woman that have like a star hop board, and she has black holes, which are the worst thing that can happen. And then I watched another one that have like ladders, and then a third one that have something else that are like, oh no, back to almost square one. With this one, we're not back to square one. We just need to follow the rainbow back down to Niflheim, back down to facing your fears. So we're almost at the end, right? But at least we don't get to go all the way back. But there's also this one later on that are all of these butterflies. So okay, so the next one, number 21 on the board, is Ing. A book recommended to you or that you have been inspired to read by hearing someone talk about. So this is basically a friend pick, a book talk, booktube, Instagram recommendation, everything like that rolled into one. Rolled into one space on the board. So you can pick whichever of those. And then we have number 22, historical novel of any kind. So for instance, I recently read Divine Rivals, which has an historical element, but it's a magical realism / fantasy. So it can be a historical novel full stop, or it can be a historical aspect to it. It can also be like a fantasy that is based on a historical event, or an historical individual, or something like that. So yeah, a historical novel of any kind. Okay, we're almost at the end. The next one is a very eventful one. This is Dagas, the same name in English and Swedish. This is the 23rd, so it's the next to last place on the board, except for when you're just off the board. So, shadow work, a dark academia or a book with gothic vibes. Because this is the rune for opposites and dualities. So it's the one side of this is darkness and one is light, and so there's opposites. And this is the rune for shadow work in the Nordic shamanistic practice. So when you land on this space on the board, over here there are butterflies, right? So I'm reading my own words here. Additional task. You need to dive into your dark side. Follow the butterflies to the underworld of Jotunheim where you will start your next role. Back to here. That's what it says. Yeah, additional task. You need to dive into your dark side. Follow the butterflies to the underworld of Jotunheim where you will start your next role. And that is all the way back to pick a brick, you know, all the way in the beginning. You can avoid going back to the beginning by rolling one of the holy numbers 3 and 6 and let the butterflies take you even further to the upper world of Vanaheim. And you know where that takes you? All the way back to the 10. So you can either start here or just go back to face your fears once again. If you roll anything else, you stay at Thurisaz and pick a brick. So yeah, that's I almost feel guilty for doing that to myself. I almost feel guilty for doing that to myself. But we'll see. And then the last rune on the board, Fe or Fehu. A book with an animal on the cover or an animal as a companion to the main character. And this is the rune of a lot of things, but among other things is the rune of domesticated animals. So we had one rune for like fable animals, spirit animals, wild animals. This is domesticated animals. So I think this is my excuse to read a book with like a cat or a dog in it. You know, like the book with a cozy vibe. So yeah, that's the last space on the board. And then when you get to here, it just says you have made it to the end. And I think I don't really know what I'm gonna do about the end at this point, because as I do now with roll as I go, if I make it to the end by my thought is, if I make it to the end before the month is over, I'm gonna read whatever I want for the last couple of days or whatever of the month. But if I get anywhere other than just on this, if I stand here and I get a 5, 1, 2, 3, then I'm gonna go back 4, 5, you know. So you have to, my idea is that I have to land on this space to be able to finish the game that month. So, and then I can just reset every month. That's my thought about this board. So that's how I'm gonna play it for April, and then I'm gonna get back to this board in June probably, and then in June I'm gonna roll like 5 or 6 times at the beginning of the month and do like a video of doing that and picking all of my prompts. I may not be able to pick the books in that video because it depends on where I land and how many books I have at home. It might end up me picking just a lot of books from my own shelves, or I will bring the prompts to the library when I go next time after that and pick books, because in June we are also able to borrow books for the entire summer, because the library is closed or have like limited opening hours during the summer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my walk through the board, and let me know if you have any thoughts about the prompts, if you think I am being too hard on myself and eventually people that are joining me in this, or if you think no, put more events on, because I actually thought I was like too light on myself, like here nothing happens. But yeah, let me know what you think. And one thought I have is to put more chances to go to the well and the sun. So like maybe have like events on the way where I more get to use these two, so that I can actually pick from this one more than once and this one more than once or twice. So that's kind of my only I think that's my main concern regarding changes at this point. Should I be able to go to the well and the sun? So Odin's pick and sun pick more times. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have your own board of a kind, or if you have a favorite. The first board I used was Beck and the Book's Bookopoly board. And I have actually made like a Bookopoly board on my own. It's somewhere, but I haven't used it. So, and then I thought, well, I'm just gonna do something on my own. And this is where my interests lie. So, thank you for watching. Have a lovely time, and I will see you in my next video. Xingling!